Show has time. Looks for Deutsch. Deutsch at the one into the end zone.
On to serve, dug out by Bishop. This to the middle and slamming one home for.
And free ball to the crossover. Eilertson will get the pass for Holly. Set up left side. Rusted down with the kill.
He'll play action now. Look to pass over the middle. It's intercepted by Cole Hebel. Intercepted by Hebel, and he brings it back.
Set it up, Boston left side. Big kill blocked at the net. Kept alive by the Greyhounds.
Fetting's got room, and here's Bo Fetting. Fetting's still on his feet. Fetting's gone. Bo.
The Your Live Event Coaches Show is presented by the Hillsborough Economic Development Committee.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello. We'll be talking some high school cross country a little bit later on with Spencer Rupee, the coach of the ADA-BORUP-WEST Cougar cross country team, as they get ready for the Pine to Prairie Conference tournament next week. We'll also be talking some high school volleyball. We'll be checking with the coaches at FOSSTON and THOMPSON. But first, we're going to start with high school football, and we will be checking in with FERTILE-BELTRAMI coach Brian Nelson. FERTILE-BELTRAMI ranked number 2 in the state this week by the Star Tribune of Minneapolis. So let's check in first with Brian Nelson from the FERTILE-BELTRAMI Falcons.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com, brought to you by Hillsborough EDC. We're going to talk some 9-man football now in Minnesota with Brian Nelson, the coach of the FERTILE-BELTRAMI Falcons, off to an undefeated start this season after a win against Clearbrook-Gonvick on the road on Friday night. Brian, talk about that game.
It was kids played very well defensively. I think we forced maybe 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions, a couple fumbles. And, when you can do that, then your offense is sitting in pretty good field position a lot of times. And, offensively, we struggled a little bit in the running game with what they had defensively. They did a very good job preparing for us. And so we went to the air, and I think we had 230-some yards throwing and 3 touchdowns. So our kids played very well, both offensively and defensively. And, we're very proud of their efforts. And Clearbrook came out and did some things and gave us a very, very good game.
What's some of the kids who have stood out for you this season?
Well, we have quite a few back defensively from last year's group. Our guys up front, Derek Sorensen, Ryan Vandenheide, Wesley Ramberg, and Tucker Bolstead have done an outstanding job in our defensive front 4. And then we fill in a couple D-backs that played quite a bit last year. Isaiah Wright at a corner. Braden Ruebke played all year at a corner last year, and Caden Swamy played quite a bit at free safety. And, we've been working on our linebacker spot, and Ethan Finseth and Easton Petrie have both done a fine job at linebacker, and they're just getting better every week.
This is the defense part of a team that went to the state championship game in 9-man football last year. Let's remind everybody.
Yeah, and then, a lot of people, and we did graduate heavy, but we had quite a few back on defense. Now, offensive side of the ball, it's we're a little bit different. We do have 7 new faces on the offensive side of the ball, and with some injuries here, we've had to shuffle some things around, and but they've been playing very, very good football. Caden Swamy, our junior quarterback's been just doing a great job running the offense, and our front 5 guys have really worked well together. They communicate on the line when they see different fronts, and our backs have been doing a great job running the ball and blocking for each other. The kind of something we need to stress again this week. We got to do some blocking drills with the backs again. It wasn't up to par last Friday, but that's something we'll address in film today. And, hopefully we can learn from some of those things and practice those in practice to get ready for a very, very good Norman County East Ulen Hitterdall Titan team.
I get the feeling that nobody is really complacent after the strong season you had last year.
No, they came in with a great work ethic. I think they're out to try to prove something because, we did lose quite a few kids from that state championship playing game. We kind of took it in the chin in that last game, and I think that stuck in the kids that we had coming back this year too, that, we need to do some work in the off season in the weight room and Vertimax and our mini camps and things like that. And they've done that. And, as a result, we've had a pretty good season so far.
You mentioned Norman County East. You inherited your opponent this week. That's a rematch of last year's Section 6 title game, if I remember right.
Yes, it is. And it was game right down to the wire. They onside kick, and we were fortunate to recover it and run the clock out. And I expect much the same type of game this year. They're very, very well coached, both offensively and defensively. Defensively, they don't give you much. You're not going to surprise them with anything. And offensively, they have a lot of different sets with motion. And, we got to get our kids ready for those different things this week. And hopefully they can recognize them on Friday night.
I would imagine your guys are used to having the bullseye on their back, being the team that everybody wants to be. How do they respond to that?
I think they've done a good job just preparing week in and week out. We don't look ahead at anybody. We're just prepared for the game that's coming up. And I think if you can do those things and not think of a big picture of anything, just prepare each game, I think you have some success.
I take it that cardiac sign behind you means that you're pretty much at ease as far as that goes with getting the team ready.
I still get nervous before every game. My old coach, Dick Brown, said, if you're not nervous before a game, then you shouldn't be coaching anymore. So I guess that's a good thing. And, I just, wish our kids, nobody gets hurt on either team during the game. And that we can play like we're capable of and not have a whole lot of mistakes.
All right. And FERTILE-BELTRAMI, not only the home game with Norman County East, you'll inherit all this week, Blackduck the following week, and that is a pretty good team too, I understand.
They have just about everybody back from last year. That's one of the films we broke down yesterday was we watched Norman County East against Blackduck. Two evenly matched teams. They're a solid ball club too. They have a great quarterback, just like Norman County East does. They have some size up front. They have a good running back. They have good receivers, just like East does. And, our next 2 weeks are going to be our kids going to have to get to work and play some good football.
Hopefully they can do that. We look for some good things from the Falcons this season. Brian Nelson, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thanks for covering us.
Brian Nelson, the coach of the FERTILE-BELTRAMI Falcons. We'll have more on the Coaches Show, brought to you by Hillsborough EDC, right after this.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Welcome back to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show. I'm Joe Lancello, joined by Alex Starcevic, the coach of the Thompson Tommies, the 7-0 Thompson Tommies, I should say, after a win over Oak Grove on Friday night down in Fargo. 35-11 seems pretty convincing. What were your thoughts of the game?
Yeah, we probably didn't play our best Friday night football game, Joe, but we got the W, and that's what matters. There's always positives and negatives in every game, and you never get too high, never get too low, that coach speak. So after looking at the film, there's some good things that we did, and there are some things we really got to clean up if we think we want to have a chance these next 2 weeks against quality opponents.
Now, you guys did get off to a good start. You opened the scoring there with a pass from Jake Starcevic to Carter Peterson, I think it was.
Brody Gibson.
Oh, it was Brody. Okay,
Yep.
I couldn't quite tell. Okay, my bad.
No problem.
So that's another key for Brody, because I think he had an interception later in the game too, didn't he?
He did. He had a real nice game. So, Brody came in. We kind of got the coverage we wanted and took advantage of it. And Brody made a nice play on the ball and started us off scoring that way.
But they would come back, and I guess that would be the one play that might be a teaching point, was there was a pass to one of their running backs, and I guess he was never really down, or his knee went down, and he played to the whistle and kept going for a big gain.
Yeah, kind of one of those goofy deals where the ball carrier rolls over a defender, and everybody assumed he was down. There was no whistle. And like you said, that's where you learn, and we talked about in film, hey, you got to play to the whistle every play. If you don't hear it, you keep playing. He rolled over a guy, and luckily we had a hustle play. Jake ran down the field and caught up to him and got him out of bounds. And and stop that play from scoring. But they did go on to score because they had such good field position there. So
You would come back to score Reese Berberich with the first of a couple of touchdowns, but then they took advantage of a fumble recovery and got a field goal. So it was 14-11 at the end of the first quarter. But to your credit, you kept them off the board after that.
yeah, we tightened it up a little bit on defense. Still did a few technique things wrong that we're going to work on real hard this week. But ultimately kept them out of the end zone the rest of the game. So that was good to see. And then we got a few more scores of our own.
And Reese Berberich with a couple of touchdown runs. I know earlier in the season he'd been wearing a cast. Is he still? And how's he been doing this year?
Yeah, he's Reese is a great player, great kid, wonderful attitude. It's a tough start to the season for him with the broken hand, which kind of limited a little bit some of the stuff that we could do. We still tried to, throw him the ball in some screens and obviously hand the ball off to him as much as we could when needed. But now he's got that cast off. He's back at full use, so we don't have to think about what play we're calling or who's in the game in certain situations. At running back, we can just let her rip now with him back there. So it makes play calling a lot easier. We'll put it that way.
What do you think about the way your offense has developed through the course of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I like what we're doing. It's kind of what I envisioned. When you have a dual threat quarterback, it makes it tough to defend. And then you start putting some other guys around that, and a returner like Reese at running back and a up-and-comer like Josh Juvie is back now at full strength, and he's doing some really good things for us. And then you got Brody's doing some great things. And then you start looking at, we got 2 tight ends that are 6'4", and we got a couple other scat back receivers like a Brody and a Thomas Schumacher. I mean, there's a lot of guys that you never know what week is going to be their week, And I don't think I even mentioned Max Roller, who's probably the fastest guy in our region, and we're trying to find ways to get him the ball. So I like to think of us as a run-first team with the type of players that we have, but man, we can spread it around and be tough to defend. So I told our guys, I said, just be patient with me. I said, it's kind of like basketball. It's hard to have 5 25-point scorers every night. I said, we got a couple guys that we kind of hang our hat on, and we have to, because that's how we have to win, with how we're designed. But we got a lot of guys that step up on given nights when needed and are a 25-point scorer for us. So it just depends on the game and the way it goes and the type of matchups we have.
Nick Starcevic at quarterback has had a nice year. He is so tough to bring down, and there are things that other teams can't really prepare for. You mentioned basketball. If a team's got a fellow who's 6'8" and you don't, that's tough to practice against. And it's got to be tough to practice against somebody who just won't go down when they're first hit.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It makes it difficult. It's tough to scheme against a running quarterback, like I said, Joe. And eventually there'll be some schemes that will try to take that away, and I think we've come across that already. But like I said, we have other answers for that too, hopefully. So as long as we execute them, we have other ways to take advantage of that. So we'll just see how it plays out these next couple of weeks and what happens. Because like I said, I feel confident that, we are who we are, but we have a lot of other things we can do based off of that. So
7 wins out of 7. It's not all offense. The defense has played its part of things too. I know I talk about Jacob Brenn quite a bit. He's filling up the stat sheet as far as tackles, sacks, fumble recoveries, forced fumbles, things like that.
Yeah, Jacob's having a solid season again. They this last game, we're going to focus on our contain technique a little bit more. But all in all, Jacob's a great defensive player for us. Does a good job of getting in the backfield and getting teams in long yardage situations for us. So a lot of guys have done some good things. Will Welke's another one where, man, he's really come along. He's a sophomore linebacker, and he's a true football player on our team. We got a lot of guys on our team that are love having them all out. But Will's just one of those kind of hard-nosed guys that you're like, he's a football guy, And he's playing like it. He's physical. He's getting downhill, and he's making plays for us. So, those are 2 guys to really highlight defensively.
And the secondary, I think, of the starters, I think everybody's got at least 2 interceptions between Max Roller, Brody Gibson, Drew Overby, and Jake has got 3 picks. Everybody else has got 2.
Yeah, no, again, they've been steady. That's something we're going to really have to be good at this week. Botano's got a really potent passing attack. Their quarterback's a great quarterback, got skill receivers, guys that can make a lot of plays, and I think they enjoy throwing that ball around. So if we stop the run, which I hope we do, we're going to have to make sure that we stop the pass game, and those guys are going to have a big week for us, all those guys that you mentioned, Joe.
Now, you are definitely in the playoffs, is that right?
Yeah, we are in right now. We being 7-0, I think we're probably guaranteed the 3 seed right now with 2 games to go. So, I mean, if we take care of business and win out, I mean, we're the 1 seed, obviously, and that's a big goal of our team. But we're just taking it week by week. We want to have a great showing against Botano and hopefully win that one, and that would put us in a 2 seed. So we'll see what happens.
You had a little bit of a twofer, I'm guessing, this past Friday, if you were able to scouting Botano against Hillsborough Central Valley, because those are your next 2 opponents.
Yeah, it was great film to look at. I mean, two quality teams, and like I've said, I believe Hillsborough's kind of been flying under the radar. I don't buy all the media polls. I think they're a ranked team the entire year. They've had a couple guys out that were all state caliber players. They've had them back now for a few weeks, and they're showing what who they are, and that's a physical, well-coached football team. So. But yeah, before we get to those guys, we want to make sure we take care of business in Botano up in Rolette. And like I said, another really well-coached team with great athletes, and going to be a heck of a challenge for us. Hopefully it's a fun Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be on a Saturday. That's going to be a little bit of a different thing for your guys being able to go home on Friday after school or after having a practice and then get on the bus early in the morning and drive to a game, which is it's not a short trip either.
No, it's not a short trip. We got a good plan laid out of how we're going to handle it between the bus ride and stopping to stretch and grabbing a little bite to eat. I like it just because now that we know we're in the playoffs, we're going to have to potentially do that anyway. If we're on the road in a 3 or 4 seed, we'll have to travel somewhere anyway and get used to playing on a Saturday afternoon. So I think it's a great setup for us, no matter what happens.
Okay, we'll see what happens with the Thompson Tommies at Botano on Saturday, then at home the following Friday against Hillsborough Central Valley. That game is going to be on yourliveevent.com. Alex Starcevic, thank you so much, and best of luck to the Tommies.
Yeah, hey, we appreciate it, Joe. Thanks again for all your coverage and everything you're doing for us.
All right, we'll have more on the Coaches Show brought to you by Hillsborough EDC right after this.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada invites you to order your new Buick and Chevrolet vehicles from the Silverado, Trailblazers, Traverse, and Enclave. Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet and Buick dealer providing sales and a service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch, Smurf, or Jay. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada, 218-784-2000.
Hey, what you doing? Crawling around under my planter trying to figure out if I need any maintenance parts replaced.
It's harvest time, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but the guys at RDK Enterprises keep reminding me to check now, just in case I need something ordered.
What do I look for?
Just give RDK a call and ask some questions. They are the guys I go to for answers.
This is Chris from RDK Enterprises, your local precision planting dealer. We will answer all of your planter questions or come out to your farm and take a look at your planter. Give us a call, 701-636-2111 or planterdoc.com.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
We continue with the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on yourliveevent.com. Talking some high school volleyball now. We'll be talking with Lisa Strand of Thompson. The Tommies getting the 1,000th victory of their program recently. We'll talk about that and how the Tommies are doing. But first, we're going to start with Sarah Dryburgh from the FOSSTON Greyhounds, who are off to a very good start this season, too. Welcome back to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello, and talking now with Sarah Dryburgh, the coach of the FOSSTON Greyhound volleyball team, leading the pack in the Pine to Prairie Conference so far this season. Sarah, talk about how the year has gone so far.
Well, it's been a very busy year, but a very fun and exciting year. I think coming into the year, we knew we would have a strong team again. We graduated some, good players. A lot of seniors again graduated last year, but we had a lot of seniors coming back, and we just have a nice mix of talented girls throughout the program. And, they came out just strong, and they're just pulling off these wins, even if we're behind or, some of these challenging games on the road. And so, they're just having an excellent year, and, we're excited to be 16-2, and, the girls are playing really good volleyball right now.
What are the strong points of your team?
I think that, these girls have played a lot of volleyball over the years, and so they have a lot of experience. I know they work really hard. They've been very coachable. So when we have to fix things or adjust things, they've been really open to that. And so we've seen just a lot of steady improvement throughout the year. So I think that has been a big key. They're just really coming together as a team. It's always, interesting. Every year your team has a little bit of a different vibe or a different strengths and weaknesses. And so it's interesting how this team is coming together and how they're working together and kind of fitting that all into just a solid run here.
Who are some of the girls that are making things happen for you?
Well, we have quite a few of them. Kay Vesledal, she was out last year due to an injury, recovering from that all last season. And so she was, had a big role on our team last year that, we were missing. And I think that for her to be back this season, she's really just taking advantage of that. She has been, again, just working super hard and just kind of enjoying every moment, I think, and taking advantage of that when she gets out on the court. And she's just been playing strong all the way around. And so she is having a great season. And that was kind of a surprise probably for a lot of other teams, just because she hadn't got a lot of varsity time yet, and it was coming. We knew it was coming. She was a very good player, but we've had such a very good team over the years that it was hard to get her the court time that she deserved. And so she was ready to make a splash last year and had to wait for this year. So she's definitely making up for that. So I think she's having a very good year.
Okay. Now we've got a very strong section in Section 8A, which it pretty much always is. I've been away for a few years, but it seems like that's how it always is. Who do you see as teams to beat besides, I guess you'd have to include yourself in that conversation?
Yeah, we like to be a contender every year. So excited to be kind of in that range again. I think BGMR, of course, right now is a big team to beat. They're putting up big wins consistently. Won the ADA-BORUP tournament earlier this year at ADA-BORUP. And so, they're playing all these, very strong teams throughout the day at that tournament and coming out with a win that day. I feel like they kind of set that, we're the team to beat and the section, defending champions. So BGMR again, very good team. We're excited for our win over ADA-BORUP. That's always a good program. They're a contender every year as well. Kitson, you can't count Kitson out. I think Lake of the Woods is going to have I know they have a very good team this year. We saw them in a scrimmage. We haven't had to match up with them yet this season, but just seeing them in the scrimmage and kind of over the summer, they're a very good program. So I feel like they're definitely a team that's in the running as well. And you just can't count out too many teams. I think there's just a lot of good volleyball, and anything can kind of happen at playoffs. And there'll definitely be some close matches down the line.
Yeah, I was just looking at the calendar. We're just about 3 weeks away from the start of the playoffs.
Right. And, our season, it's so packed and it's busy, and, you fit these tournaments in too. And we are kind of on the downhill swing here now, but we still have a tournament left at Perm. We see a lot of really good competition at Perm, some bigger schools. So a very fun, exciting day of volleyball, and we get to play at that beautiful facility too. It's just a nice school they have and a nice gym area. So, we have that coming up. We have boy, I think we're down to 5 or 6 regular season games, a lot of conference matches, some big games here at the end. We'll get to see like Sacred Heart and Thief River, Sacred Heart, a good strong program in our section. So I feel like they'll be they're a team that you got to watch and make sure you got to play well against as well. So you get to kind of end our season with some really good games to get us ready for playoffs.
And you got a big rivalry game Thursday night at Bagley, and then you go to Perham on Saturday, as you mentioned.
Right. Yep. So we have two away games this week. We have Norman County East Tuesday conference matchup, and then Bagley on Thursday. And Bagley has been coming along. They've been doing some good things this year. So 2 away games. Want to make sure we're playing our best on the road.
All right. We'll see what happens with the FOSSTON Greyhound volleyball team as we get on toward the playoffs when they get started in about 3 weeks. Sarah Dryburgh, thanks very much.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Sarah Dryburgh, coach of the FOSSTON Greyhound volleyball team, will continue on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com right after this.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee supports businesses in the Hillsborough community in the form of loans and grants. Experience Hillsborough. There's more at 104.
Welcome back to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello with Lisa Strand, the coach of the Thompson Tommies volleyball team. And if I understand correctly, Lisa, a milestone for you last week, 1,000 wins.
Yep, well, it's basically 1,000 program wins for the Thompson volleyball program overall, because that's who's done it. I've just been fortunate enough to be along for the ride.
Well, it sounds like it's been quite a ride, and we're talking, some 40, nearly 50 years, I would think?
34.
Okay.
34 years in this position, yep.
Oh, for you personally, I was thinking about Thompson volleyball altogether.
Oh, Thompson volleyball altogether. Well, they did some basically like just, I don't know, they called it intramural type volleyball to start. And then when I came was the first year they really had a full out competition and competitive season with other teams and the High School Activities Association and everything involved. So it's kind of where it's at. I don't know exactly what was going on before. It was more scrimmage-ish and like I said, intramural like games. They played Grand Forks and some other places like that before I started here.
That's still a lot of wins, and I'm sure there are a lot of schools that don't have that many, or you have put quite a few programs together that don't have that many. What do you attribute that to?
I just think we've been very fortunate. I've been fortunate to have a lot of good athletes across the board along many years, and good assistant coaches. Nobody does any of this by themselves. It's a whole team effort, and the team includes everyone: the coaches, the players, the stats people, everybody that's been involved in Thompson volleyball. The administration and our athletic directors setting up the matches for us is, getting us the competition, making sure that, we're not going too far on one night and coming back and having to play somebody else on the next night, just right off. It's a lot of things that are involved in having success. And so I attribute it mostly to the players, who have bought into the system and really wanted to push and be competitive.
I'm sure there are a lot of coaches at the lower levels too that are encouraging girls to go in, and that helps keep things going.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, it's all the coaches that are involved in the program. They've all contributed to this milestone, I guess. It's definitely not just me, for sure. That's not that can't happen, because you need all of the pieces to fit together.
The pieces for this year's Thompson team seem to be fitting together pretty well. What are your thoughts about the season so far?
Well, so far, it's been an interesting season because we've tried some different lineups and rotations, and we've had people out, and now we're just kind of getting back to where we can kind of maybe find some familiarity with the players on the court. So I'm hoping for some success coming up, where we're going to try something new again, just because we need to and can, and we'll see what happens with that. We have a big match tonight, on Tuesday night against Northern Cass. So that's a big one for us. And then on Thursday to Central Cass comes to us. So, this week is a pretty tough one, along with the Langdon tournament on Saturday. So there's a lot of tests here, and that's good for us. And, we'll just try to do the best we can.
And Langdon is one of the few teams that's beaten you this season, if I remember right.
Yep, Langdon has, and we got beat by Kenmare out at the Deluxe tournament, and we've beat Central Cass, but then they beat us in the tournament at DLB, and and Red River beat us, and so we've had losses definitely, and they're not as fun as the wins, but you just got to keep plugging along and see what we can do and make it happen.
What are your thoughts about how the team has developed as we get to this point of the season?
Well, I think that a lot of our players, they've grown a lot about, learning the game of volleyball and adjusting to different spots on the court and to each other. So I think that it's been a good growth season for us. And I'm hoping that this second half we can kind of settle in and find where we belong on the court and how we can contribute the best for the team effort. Our motto is stronger together, and I think that we've been doing that. We've been playing stronger when we play together. The more we play together, the stronger we hope to become.
And how do you see the region stacking up? You've got to be one of the favorites there, I would imagine.
Well, I don't know about that, but we've got some really good teams in our region. Mayport has been doing well. They beat us in the tournament at Central Cass. They've got a good team. Mayport has strong all around. They've got 6 athletes on the floor all the time playing. Grafton's a good team. We went 5 with them. They've got some skills there that they're going to be good all the way through. Same with Cavalier. There's another good team that we have in our region. Hatton Northwood, they have strength on their court. We just have to, we have to be tough all the way through. We can't, no team can really rest at this point. Just a lot of matches ahead, and hopefully we can do the right thing and pull it out as far as win as many as we can.
All right. We've got Thompson Volleyball. We'll be on yourliveevent.com. You can just check us out to see which games are among those. I know the Thursday game with Central Cass certainly is. And people can go back and watch the Northern Cass game from Tuesday on yourliveevent.com as well. Lisa Strand, thanks so much, and we'll be seeing you around.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Lisa Strand, coach of the Thompson volleyball team. We'll have more on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on yourliveevent.com right after this.
Harvest is here, and that means we all need to be careful. Hello, this is Bethany Rentz with IRE Insurance. We want to make sure everyone up and down the valley has a safe and successful harvest. Take extra special care in your travels. Slow-moving combines, mud-covered roads, and debris are just a few things during harvest that can be dangerous. So take your time, watch your surroundings, and most of all, be patient and slow down. For more harvest safety tips, go to IREINS.com.
You're protected and appreciated at IRE.
IRE Insurance is an equal opportunity provider.
In Hope, North Dakota, we aren't just a town, we're a community, one that you can be proud of, where you and your family can grow. With available jobs, affordable housing, a local golf course and pool, the Sportsman Club, and great educational opportunities, there hasn't been a better time to join the Hope community, ideally located between Fargo, Grand Forks, and Jamestown. For more information, go to www.hopend.com. Live, work, and play in Hope, North Dakota.
Buying a new home, but worried about the interest rate and terms from your bank? At First Class Mortgage, we'll find a mortgage that fits your needs. Shopping national banks and other lenders for the lowest rate and most affordable terms. Saving you time and money. So all you need to worry about is enjoying your new home. First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Put an expert to work for you. Call today.
We'll finish up here on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com with an ADA-BORUP-WEST doubleheader. We'll talk with Spencer Rupee, the coach of the Cougar Cross Country teams, about the conference meet coming up soon and their season. But first, we'll talk with ABW volleyball coach Jim Lee and talk about how the Cougars are doing.
Welcome back to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello, joined by Jim Lee, the volleyball coach at ADA-BORUP-WEST. The Cougars having a nice season so far. Jim, talk about how the year has gone for you.
Well, I think that we've had some goals going into this season, and so far we haven't quite reached them. And there's a couple more weeks left of the season before the postseason, so we're hoping to go ahead and reach some more of those goals, whether it's at tournaments or in the conference or in postseason play there. And what's really affected us has been some injuries and definitely some sickness we've had over the last week here.
Who have been some of the people that have stood out for you this year?
Can you please say that again?
Who are some of the people that have stood out for you?
Who stood out? I mean, we have a great group of seniors there with Lauren Thompson, Maddie Steen, Brooke Scherfenberg, and Dylan Miller. So they've definitely stood out for us as seniors here. Then we have Sarah Prunzinski and Izzy Markuson, Morgan Engel, Audrina Egan have really stood out for us. And we also have Hannah Parrington and Holly Flum. So we definitely have a wide array of girls in different grades that have come together to go ahead and achieve a common goal on the court.
What have the Cougars done well this season? What have been the team's strong points?
Well, I think one of the strong points has definitely been our openness to change, because we've had to deal with so many different lineup changes, just like we did last season with injuries and with sickness. I think just the openness and willingness to go ahead and learn and to learn on the fly, because at times here it's been you have to go ahead and do it just a half hour before the match to go ahead and learn a new rotation. So I think their openness and their willingness to go ahead and change on the fly really helps out.
Okay. I know coming up, you've got a game with Monument Wabat on Thursday night. That is going to be senior night. How do you see the conference race?
Well, I think that right now FOSSTON's a game up on everybody, and I think it's us and Fertile have one loss, and I think Park Christian has one loss, if I remember correctly there too. So I think all three of us are like one match back there, and Fertile plays FOSSTON the last day of the regular season on that Tuesday before MEA there. So that's going to shape up to be a really big match. So everybody's trying to catch up to FOSSTON or upset them.
And how do you see the section playoffs going? It seems like it's very wide open and a lot of possible teams. You mentioned a couple of them there with FOSSTON.
Yeah, and on the one side, you got FOSSTON's the number one seed, and I think battling out for 2 and 3 right now, I think are Fertile and us. That match tonight against Fertile is really big. And then down below there, you probably have Monoman, Bagley, North Dome, Black Duck battling out. And then in the upper bracket up there, Badger's definitely the number 1. Lake of the Woods is definitely number 2. And they're kind of battling out for 3, 4, 5, 6 there with Kitson, Grigla, and I forgot the other team that's battling out there. Was it Stephen Argyle? And then you got Red Lake Falls there too. The thing is that Kitson still has, they just beat, if I remember correctly, Kitson just beat Grigla last night, and they have Lake of the Woods and Badger coming up here in the next week. So those are 2 humongous matches for Kitson. So if they could pull off an upset in either of those matches, they can really shake up the seeding over on the opposite side over there.
Okay. Now, I understand you've got a tournament in Alexandria coming up on Saturday?
Correct.
Who are some of the teams you might face there?
Definitely Alexandria is the big wig there. I mean, I think they're ranked like 8th or 9th right now in AAA. That's definitely the biggest team there. And then you got BBE, who was ranked like 9th or 10th in the coaches poll here. Now I think they've fallen down to 11th, and that's a really, really good team there too. I think Horace, North Dakota is going to be there, and we met them this summer, and they're a really good team. You also have Fergus Falls, Big Lake, Morris, Minnewaska. We scrimmaged Minnewaska, and they look really, really good here to be in the season too, much improved from the last couple of years. And then what's the other one? There's one other team I'm missing there. Let's see, not Ricori. I think they dropped it. I think there's one other team I'm just not picking up right now.
Okay, but it sounds like the kind of a good tune-up that you want is to get toward the home stretch of the season.
Correct. There's no question about that. Absolutely.
All right. Jim Lee, the coach of the ADA-BORUP-WEST Cougar volleyball team, thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck through the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you much.
Okay, we'll be back with more on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com right after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Welcome back to the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show. I'm Joe Lancello, and joined now by Spencer Rupee, who is the coach of the cross-country teams at ADA-BORUP-WEST. We're getting close to the end of the season. Spencer, how's the team been doing so far?
Yeah, we are getting close. It feels like we just started, so that's crazy. But the team has been doing all right. We're not a top-tier team by any means. You know, we're not going to be in the top 5 at sections or anything like that. But we're not the worst team either. We're kind of in the middle, and it's what we kind of expected. You know, we've had some frustrations with maybe not having the full team all running at the same time on the same day, running well. You know, we have one of our top 5 is hurt on this day, and someone goes home sick from school at the next meet. And so I'm really waiting for a meet where everyone is there and healthy and running. But hopefully, you know, these next few weeks we get one of those meets.
Now, the girls have a meet at Purim on Thursday, don't they?
Yep, we're going to Purim on Thursday.
Well, tell me about the girls team and some of the people who have been standing out there.
Yeah, so our girls and boys are both going to Purim on Thursday. And on the girls' side, Morgan Smart has been she's been our number 1 all year, and kind of had a breakthrough race last week at East Grand Forks, where she struggled to, I would say, kind of make herself hurt a little bit early on. She likes to ease into it. So we really encouraged her last week to get out a little faster, and it did pay off with her seasonal best time. And we only have 5 girls on the team and 1 junior high for our 6th. And so we've seen some good things. A lot of our girls have been pretty consistent, kind of in the 25s. Our junior high girl has been running well. She keeps getting better each week. But now lately, like I mentioned, kind of the sickness has been passing through the team. So I think we're all healthy right now.
Okay. And talk about the boys team then.
Yeah. So the boys, you know, Purim is a flat course. So we're looking forward to that. And I think there's like almost 30 teams going, and there's going to be some big schools and good schools. And we kind of have 2 guys that can mix it up with not like necessarily, you know, they're not going to be finishing in the top 10 or anything like that, but they're pretty competitive. I mean, they have the capabilities of running probably an 18 flat. We've seen Baron Auden and Tucker Hansen both this year run in the 1830s, 1840s. I think they have potential to go faster. And so those are 2 guys. And then, you know, behind them, we have twins, Kale and Nolan Jacobson. And those 2 guys put in the best summer out of anyone on the team. They ran probably 5-6 days a week, probably 30 miles a week all summer long. And I was just talking to them in practice yesterday because it was crazy. When they were junior high kids, when they were in 7th grade, they would be running the 2 mile in 20 minutes, 19 minutes. And just 3 years later, they're sophomores and they're running under 20 in a 5K. So they've came a long ways in those years, and I credit that to their summers. And, you know, we have some other guys too that if we can get on the same page on the same day, our boys team is pretty competitive.
How much of cross-country running is physical and how much of it is mental? When I think about running, I remember almost ancient history when Roger Bannister was the first man to break the 4-minute mile. And so much talk at the time was the body can't handle that. It will break down. But obviously, in the years that have gone by, running a 4-minute mile for the top people in the Olympics is a piece of cake. And even, I'm guessing, for high school kids, it gets awfully close to that.
Yeah,
So talk
yeah.
about that middle part.
We see high school kids break 4 every year now. It's insane. Yeah, and the physical part, it is, you have to have a good base, right, in the summer, and a little bit of weight room time and strengthening, and you have to have the miles on the legs. But I do think when it comes to workouts and when it comes to races, it's a big mental game too, and takes a lot of repetition to kind of and it takes the right person too, like a little bit of craziness, right, in a distance runner's head, to be able to push themselves just the right amount where you're able to complete the race, and when you cross that finish line, that's all you had left. Some kids are finishing with too much in the tank. Some kids are gassing themselves out too soon. And I think that's where the mental piece comes in a lot in the races.
Now, next week, Tuesday, you've got the conference meet, which is going to be at East Grand Forks. How do you see that going, and what's the course like there?
It's a nice course. I love going there, and we were just there last week, which is great. It's just another 5K, but I do think, I don't know if it gives us an advantage of having been there, but I really encourage our kids after the last race to just reflect what went well. Did you have a good final 400-meter kick? If yes, well, how can we duplicate that? What didn't go well? Did you kind of lose focus once you saw you were at mile 2 and you're like, oh man, I still have a mile to go, and kind of lost focus and coasted out? So reflect on that race, and then how can we buy ourselves and cut 20 to 30 seconds off of that race and that course from that race until the conference race. So I hope the kids, actually tried that and reflected a little bit. And I hope to see them cut some time from, last week into next week at the conference. And conference is a big deal. Getting in the top 15 is huge. We added a couple tough teams this past year. We have Thief River Falls, a AA school in there with us now. And we have some East Grand Forks home schools and private schools that have some talented runners that joined. So our conference has gotten better. So I think it's an honor to get in that top 15. And right now, we have Morgan Smart, like I mentioned earlier. I think if you had to rank her, she's probably somewhere in that 17, 18, 19 spot. So on the outside looking in with a chance. And Tucker and Barron, like I mentioned, they're probably in that 7th, 8th. They if they do what they're capable of doing, they should be all conference. And then as far as team scores go, we're just lucky, a school our size, that we're hopefully able to have 5 girls cross the line, 5 boys cross the line, and get a team score. But it wouldn't be out of the question for our boys to finish in 3rd or 4th as a team. So I'm really looking forward to it. I love when we get to that point of the season and it's championship racing, and times kind of do go out the window. It's more about the placing, but it'd be nice to see them get a PR on that course at the same time.
Well, that's going to be coming up on Tuesday at East Grand Forks, the Pine to Prairie Conference meet. Spencer Rupee, thanks very much, and best of luck to the Cougar cross-country teams the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, and we'll have more on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com right after this.
That is going to do it for this week on the Hillsborough EDC Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. Next week, the 9-man football playoffs in North Dakota will get underway. We'll have a preview of that. We'll also be checking in with other North Dakota and Minnesota football teams and volleyball and whatever else crosses our attention here for the Your Live Event Coaches Show. I'm Joe Lancello. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
This has been the Your Live Event Coaches Show, presented by the Hillsborough Economic Development Committee.